This is the Masking Handbook for Audiometry. In this video, we'll be looking at what does an air bone gap tell us about interaural attenuation. Here are our minimum possible interaural attenuation values. We can see that the insert earphones have a higher min-IA values than the TDH headphones in general. For example, if we take a look at 1000 Hz, we see that the min-IA for TDH headphones is 40 dB, while for the inserts it's 15 dB greater, which for our purposes is a 15 dB improvement. As we know, interaural attenuation refers to the level of sound that a phone or transducer can keep on the side of the head or the specific ear into which it's being delivered. With all transducers, at some point the sound can cross to the opposite side if it's made loud enough. It gets to the other side via bone conduction. It enters the cranial bones where it's subsequently quite free to travel across. What are we to make of a hearing situation like this then? Using TDH phones, we have a pretty significant hearing loss in the one ear and really good hearing sensitivity in the other. If we look closely, we see that the differences between the hearing levels in the right ear and the hearing levels in the left, or the hearing levels in the right ear and the unmasked bone conduction thresholds, exceed the min-IA values for TDH supraaural headphones. How is that possible? If the IA indicates the point when test signals might enter the cranial bones, shouldn't the subject have responded at lower dBHL levels for the right air conduction signals? In other words, at levels that are close to the IA value? The 1000 Hz attenuation value is 40 dB. Shouldn't the signals have entered the bone near that point? If the signals can enter the bone, they should be heard by at least one side. However, the IA values we use to make decisions during audiometry are minimum possible attenuation values. These values represent the lowest known levels at which a signal might be able to cross to the other side. Another way of thinking about this is to imagine these numbers are the lowest level at which the sound might enter the bone tissues of the head. If we look at the values for TDH headphones, we see the min-IA values are somewhere between 35 and 50 dB, depending on frequency. We use min-IA values to make decisions on masking during audiometry, and this makes sense. But we should recognize that most of our test subjects that we see will have higher IA characteristics than the minimum values. Here is a collection of IA values for TDH headphones that has min-IA, maximum IA, and also the mean, median IA values. Back to our hearing loss now. We see that 40 dB at 1000 Hz could not be the actual interaural attenuation value in this situation. The unmasked threshold at 1000 Hz was 55 dBHL. The person did not respond at levels lower than 55. If it had entered the bone tissues, then the unmasked bone conduction threshold tells us that the person would have been able to hear it from whichever ear was hearing that unmasked 0 dBHL bone conduction tone. So we can infer that the sound signals did not enter the bone before 55 dB. This is a more realistic view of a possible interaural attenuation that is based on the situation. We can call this our situational IA value, or SIT-IA. An air bone gap shows that an air-conducted sound signal has gotten to the cochlea at a certain level relative to the bone conduction hearing threshold. There are only two routes to the cochlea. Sound may pass through the middle ear even if the middle ear is not working well, or it may enter the bone tissues and excite the cochlea via the bone conduction route. This latter route is the same pathway that a signal would cross to the opposite side or the opposite cochlea, which is connected to the IA situation. This is why Robert Turner has defined the relationship between air bone gaps and the IA in this manner. The IA cannot be less than an air bone gap, although it can, of course, be more. This is the Masking Handbook for Audiometry. If you liked this video, you'll love the handbook. For more resources on masking and to learn how to purchase the book, check out maskinghandbook.com.